Storm damage from Ida astounding officials for 3 full days. This storm has raked basically the whole eastern part of this country. We saw the damage there on the Gulf Coast. Reconnaissance flights revealed the entire communities have been devastated. President Joe Biden, as we heard from him earlier today, says he's going to survey the destruction for himself on Sunday, along with Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards. They issued a plea for emergency fuel supplies in Louisiana as well to assist 1 million homes and businesses who remain without power. There are still 600,000 people without water. So think about that. Let's welcome in now financial analyst and president of Zuma Global, Heather Zumarraga. Also with us, Seth Denson, Newsmax contributor. Regular. We've seen you a lot on the network lately, Seth. Great to have you with us.
Great to be part of the family, man.
Well, I'm just trying to get you booked here on my show. You're a busy guy these days. Heather, great to see you as well. But we have a lot of news happening right now, and I think, if Afghanistan were not happening, there would be a lot more focus on the destruction from this hurricane, from Louisiana all the way up to, New England. Seth, how long are we going to be feeling the impacts of this when it comes to the economy? We're talking about $200 billion potentially in damage.
Yeah, that's right. And those damage estimates, they continue to go up as we start to see places like New York City and some of these other areas in the Northeast get flooded. It'll be interesting to see the overall economic impact. It's interesting. About a week ago, before Ida really hit, they were saying this was going to be less than 0.2% of the overall GDP. That may not be the case now. And I will tell you where everyday Americans are going to see this felt. If we do see a $200 billion damage storm, that means insurance premiums are going to go up. That means fuel costs across the board are going to go up. Remember, about 20% of the nation's fuel supply is refined in the path of where this storm has gone. And so that will trickle out over time. It'll be interesting to see the jobs impact. Of course, we won't see that till October since that's a lagging indicator. But nonetheless, we're all going to feel this regardless of what part of the country you're in.
Yeah, I just actually finished a hurricane claim, Heather, from 2017, Hurricane Irma. And still dealing with that, but I lost my insurance. I had to get new insurance. Seth's right. This is, there's going to be multiple effects from this. And it's going to be a kind of a trickle-down situation we'll be feeling for a while.
Yeah, there is. I think that this hurricane, not to diminish the impact, but the good news, if there is a silver lining, is that the economic impacts are a lot less severe than Katrina was, I think, 16 years ago. And although Seth pointed out the drop in GDP, I think that could be reversed, as it so often is in the fourth quarter, during the rebuilding. So when you have these natural catastrophes, usually during the rebuilding process, you get some of that growth back. So expect it overall to be modest. However, it should not diminish the 1 million customers right now in Louisiana and Mississippi that have lost power, and the impact on energy and shipping and chemical industries that are associated with the Gulf right now. It all comes down to how long will oil production stay offline. Right now, you have a little more than 15% of normal output shut down. If we can get those disruptions worked out, then I think the economy will be okay, and that's because the U.S. Department of Energy has released some of our strategic reserves. They are willing to sell up to 20 million barrels of oil, if necessary, to offset some of this refining capacity right now.
Every time I hear about that,
hey,
I always think
John,
about
Heather
some
brings
warehouse.
up a good point, though.
Go ahead,
Heather
Seth.
brings up a good point that we're going to be rebuilding, and that could help GDP. But remember, we have building supplies at an all-time high because of inflation. And so that build is going to happen on the back of products and supplies that are already taxed due to supply shortages, and they're already inflated. What is that going to do to new home builds across the country? Is that going to inflate materials even more? That's yet to be seen.
I noticed that the price of lumber has come down, but things like, electrical wiring is still double what it was this time last year. And speaking of shortages, guys, here we go again, at least according to the Wall Street Journal and Procter & Gamble, also known as Big Tissue. They are saying that they're ramping up production to meet demand, guys. They are selling out of toilet paper once again. Here we are, Heather. Here we go again.
Yeah, inflation, we can't contain it, and that's due to mainly two reasons. You have the Federal Reserve that is continuing to keep interest rates too low for too long. To put that into perspective to the viewer, we are buying more bonds than we did through the financial crisis in 2008.
Wow.
As we're reopening the economy and getting past COVID. So we don't need to be doing that. And number two, you have this $3.5 trillion spending plan in Congress right now that's up for debate right after $1 trillion infrastructure plan was passed and all of the trillions in COVID relief. I know there was relief needed in the beginning. When does it end? If you don't stop this out of control money printing, well, you're going to continue to see prices rise across the board higher and faster than wages for everyday Americans. They can't afford the goods and services, and you're creating asset bubbles like we so often talk about in the real estate market as well.
Those bond purchases are like IOUs, and that drawer is full of IOUs right now. Seth, are you stocking up on toilet paper, though? Are you hoarding toilet paper?
Hey, we have an ample supply. We got 3 girls in our house. We keep an ample supply of toilet paper on hand. But I will say that it was interesting that Procter & Gamble, whose recent report showed the slowdown of sales, all of a sudden is the one sounding the alarm of everybody needs to stock up. We got
I
to ramp
checked
up
the
production.
stock price today, too. It was up like 2%. I was like, something's fishy here about this because...
I know, right?
Yeah.
Next, we're going to hear Clorox. By the way, Clorox saw a 20%. They're down 20% from pandemic highs. So we're stock up on Clorox products soon, too, probably.
Yeah, people are getting a little insight on how the financial journalism world works. Maybe there's a press release out, and then maybe somebody does a story about it, and the stock price goes up, and, everything comes out in the wash, as they say.
Clorox was the only company, though, that actually doubled in the paper industry their capacity, their manufacturing products ahead of the Delta variant. And so I think that's also why you're seeing Clorox weather the storm okay so far.
We will tip our hat to good planning for a company like Clorox.
Right.
Heather, Seth, great to see you guys. Thanks so much.